like to remind all of our listeners that the opinions of individual shows or DJs do not necessarily reflect those of NBR Radio. Please keep in mind this is entertainment and intended for the listener with a sense of humor.
Portions of this program may not be suitable for those under the age of 18. Parental guidance is suggested.
The Beer30 Show with Danny and Joel, sponsored by Tee It Up for the Troops. Divots can be replaced, freedom cannot.
Alrighty. Beer30 is when you walk into a bar or a VFW, and in that 30 seconds, you can already tell.
That guy right there is drunk, that guy's an idiot, and that guy down there knows it all.
There are programs out there beyond the VA.
Many non-profit organizations. The Beer30 Show.
It's the Beer30 Show. Made by veterans.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us for the another Beer30 Show with Danny and Joel, where we're broadcasting from two different states. It is two veterans with one mission to show there are more programs beyond the VA. My name's Joel.
And this is Danny.
And we want to get you involved. We want you guys to participate. Let's have some fun. There's a number of ways that you can tune in. You got the app. You've got the Beer30 or the twitch.tv/Beer30 podcast. And you can check us out on the internet, nbrradio.us. So there's a number of places. And if you're kind of lost and you have no idea what's going on, we have a website, thebeer30show.com. You can check into that. That is updated routinely by Danny. Sorry, I had to laugh at that. Remember, you can chime at any time by calling in at 720-316-0368. We might be able to answer your call. We might not be taking calls. It just depends. It depends on the mood. It's like the contagious clap. Anyways, so if you'd like to get a hold of us, message us on Facebook page or the Beer30 Show Facebook page. Number of ways, but right now we got the chat line, and our producer is handling the chat line, and we have a huge show for you, so I'm going to shut up and we're going to get started.
Yes, please do.
Oh.
How are you today, Joel?
You know what? I'm okay. I got a few gripes, but I'm going to save that for later. Just stay tuned, everybody, because after the interview that we do with Platoon22, which I have no clue what they do or what they're about, I'm as clueless as you are. But all I'm going to say is I'm going to roast some apples and possibly marshmallows. That's all I'm going to say. I'm extremely pissed off about something, but that's okay. That's going to be our new segment.
Yes,
and you'll find out the name. We got a new theme, everything. You'll love it. Danny's going to love it. Everybody's going to love it. So, Danny, man, how are you?
Not bad. I heard you went and saw Batman versus Superman, so what was your take on it? Because everybody's got different opinions. I mentioned it was okay. It was entertaining at the most. But that was my view on it. So what's your view on it?
It was very slow in the beginning, and whoever created the plot, whoever produced the movie should be kicked in the balls because he made me waste 2.5 hours of my time. I'm glad that I got to see it for free
Oh, there you go.
because that movie was ridiculous. Everybody. It's not going to win an Academy Award, let me tell you. Just wait until the DVD comes out. Oh yeah, dude. I'm like, if you can't tell, I'm like fuming, and it's about something else. But
Oh, we'll get to
yeah,
that a little bit later, buddy.
I was very surprised. I personally thought that Ben Affleck or Affleck. I wish we had that like waveform. Affleck. I do believe that Ben Affleck did a pretty good job on Batman compared to what he usually does in a role. And you know, Danny, I tell you what, I feel for Ben Affleck. And there was a huge video that was going viral on the internet with them doing an interview, and he had like this sad look in his face. And I forget where I saw it, but I saw it on Facebook. I'm sure it's still trending. But I felt bad for him. And it's hard for you to be a complete goof off your whole career doing movies like that, and then try to do a movie like this that's serious. And that's one of the reasons why Michael Keaton didn't continue as Batman, because he didn't want to be known as Batman. And these actors that take on Spider-Man, that take on Batman, that take on Captain America, Danny, they've got to realize, look, if I'm going to be doing this, there's going to be sequels. So do I want this or do I not? Because every time they change, I mean, it kind of loses the flavor of the, what do you call it? The character.
Yeah, I think a lot of people get upset when a specific actor is not playing that role anymore. So, well, it's about that time for the interview, Joel.
It is.
And so
It is about that time,
So-
and everybody, we are sorry that we had technical difficulties earlier. We hope that won't. I couldn't find iTunes. There, it was my fault. I couldn't find iTunes. But yeah, I'll roast them later. But after these messages, we will be coming back, and we're going to find out exactly what Platoon22 does. Don't go away.
This is Brandon Stokely, and you're listening to the Beer30 Show with Danny and Joel.
All right, everybody. Once again, you're listening to the Beer30 Show with Danny and Joel. Unfortunately, I don't. It's probably because we kind of have an unlisted number when we make the phone calls to the individual that we're supposed to interview. So right now, our producer is sending him an email, letting him know to just go ahead and call in. And from here, Danny has some stuff to share. What do you got, Danny?
All right, so since we have some listeners on Twitch today, we're going to make them feel special. What would you guys like to talk about? Soldier Fit 249 just messaged and said he never got a call. Apparently he's listening to us on Twitch TV.
There you go.
He needs our phone number. Joel, can you go ahead and give that to him?
All right. Yes, it's 720-316-0368. Go ahead and call in, buddy, and we'll grab you. So as we sit here and wait, because I think there's with Twitch and with the internet, I believe there's like a delay. So we'll give him some time. I'm sure he's dialing the number as we speak. So
What was that number again? One more time, Joe.
one more time, 720-316-0368.
There you go. And I also put it
Yep.
up there on the Twitch number, and that's for other people to try to get a hold of us if they want to talk as well. So we're going to have to stall a little bit. Joel, I was talking to you during break. One of the ways I tend to detox from my days is video games.
Yeah.
And you've known me for ever.
Yeah, I've known you for a minute or two.
Just a couple minutes. You know how big of a gamer I am. I used to play video
Oh,
games.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Day and night. And
Yeah.
now it's not. I haven't been able to play as recently, so I've actually kind of grown up a little bit. I don't want that to get out too much. I like to try to stay a kid. Brandy says the number we had for him was totally wrong. But anyway, the video games, I'm not sure, but if you want to join in on us on talking about video games, I'll keep chat going, and we can talk a little bit more about what type of video games are your favorite. Me personally, I like RPGs or MMOs nowadays on the computer, but back in the day, it was always the role-playing games. So if you would like to have a conversation with me while we're doing the podcast, feel free to comment on the twitch.tv/Beer30 podcast, and I will be more than happy to talk to you about video games the whole show if that's how you like it. But please listen to our interview because we interview these nonprofits,
Okay.
and
So
they're here to help all the disabled veterans out. And I can't talk forever, Joel. So, I haven't gotten any comments yet. We have somebody beep it in there, Joel. For the time being, we are going to cut to commercial, and we'll be back.
Okay, so hey, Danny, the phone line thing is acting up, so I'm gonna tell him right now that we are calling him now.
All right, well, we're going to cut to commercial real quick. So throw a commercial on, and we'll be back in just a moment.
My name is Monica. I'm with Operation Troop Appreciation, and you're listening to Beer30.
Hello, Danny.
Hi, Danny. How are you?
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Oh, not too bad. We're doing good. Apparently, the number we had, somebody sent us a 4 instead of a 1.
It happens, man. All these dyslexic people in the world.
Oh, it happens. It's no big deal. So we're going to try
no big deal.
We're going to try to run this in and see what we can do about it. How are you today?
I'm living the dream, man. I got no complaints.
Well, that's awesome. And we're going to try to learn all about this Platoon22. So why don't you go ahead and tell us how you guys got started and who you are and what you guys do?
Well, I guess not inadvertently, but just the way it plays out, Platoon22 is kind of fueled by my story. I ended up, I came back. I was in the Army for a little under 9 years. I took the first team into the Pentagon on 9/11 to help with remain removal. I ended up doing a combat tour in Iraq from 2005, 2006. I wound up, got out of the Army. I got fired for the first job. I got in a gym called Fitness First. I had, the running joke, if you have bad credit, a DD-214 and divorce, if you got 2 out of those 3, then you're a vet. I had all 3. I wound up homeless. Was living in my car. My business partner, we became my business partner, but ended up, finding places for me to crash so I didn't always have to sleep in my car. And when we started our company, Soldier Fit is a laughing stock of Montgomery County where we are now. And we did that for a while, and Soldier Fit really took off. We're now at 3 gyms, over 3,000 members, over 16 employees, franchised the company, went from being homeless to doing $2.3 million in revenue last year. And during that time period, actually 5 years before it really got off, I attempted suicide. And I spent, right after my first divorce went through, and I spent 3 days in the psych ward, and that prompted me to get help. And so I got help and was able to get my life back on track. And right about the time that Robin Williams committed suicide, we had 2 more guys commit suicide in Frederick County. And we said, hey, you know what? It's time for us to go in and make a move on it, and do something to try to fight it. So we've been a nonprofit for 2 years. What we do from a symbolic standpoint is we have a traveling memorial of 22 booths that we put in platoon formation. These account for every service and for 2 eras, the Vietnam era and the Desert Era veterans. And we take that with us wherever we go. Our first year out, we raised $136,000 as a nonprofit. And our goal with the nonprofit is really a 3-pronged attack. The number one thing that we try to do is create awareness to let people know the fact that 22 vets today do commit suicide, but that number is actually probably much, much higher. And Texas and California, the 2 most populated states in the union by veterans, don't even report their numbers, as well as many coroner reports do not require that it to be determined whether or not the person was a veteran in the first place. So there are a lot of people that are probably committing suicide that are veterans that aren't getting reported. The second thing that we do is we fund, we started off with our local crisis call center here in Frederick. We directly fund the crisis call center. In our particular case, that call center has seen a 72% increase in confirmed calls from veterans. And what happens is there's no redundancy. So when the veteran calls in, if they do press 1, the way it's set up is they call the national hotline and press 1. It would route that veteran to a local call center. Well, in our call center here in Frederick, they get 150 calls a month just from the national line. For that, that's 15,000 calls, over 150,000 calls a year. They don't even get much funding. They only receive $1,000 a year, and that's subject to be taken away from them. And that's not counting their local calls. That's not counting people that walk in. That's just people that call the national line. If they're not supported, it doesn't ring out. They don't get a voicemail. If no one's there to answer it, if they can't fund to staff it, that phone line dead end. So the vet could call in and really not even get anybody in the point when he needed him or her needed him the most. And the last thing that we do is we advocate for legislative change that would say, hey, every single veteran that transitions out of the military must go through a psychiatric evaluation, and if it's deemed they needed further help or counseling, that they would be assigned a rep and transferred into the VA, no different than if they had been shot or injured in combat. And the reason that's important is because out of the 22 that commit suicide every single day, only 5 are actually involved in the VA healthcare system.
Yeah, that's always crazy when we have that many a day, and then only that many in the VA health system that are trying to seek help. It's.
Well, Danny, I'll tell you what. I'm going to call him Mr. Danny because Danny's name is Danny too, so that we don't get confused, okay?
Oh, just call me Danny 1
Mr.
and him Danny 2, like Wild Thing 1, Wild Thing 2.
Yeah, whatever. Well, I'll tell you. I don't find it surprising. This is the reason why I don't find it surprising. And you can tell me if I'm wrong or right, because I'm in that mood to rant. So, Danny, stop me if I rant too much. But
sure, man. Do your thing.
So the VA, I was going to the VA for mental health, seeing a counselor. I was going to the VA like almost 2 years ago, like every 3 times a month. So at least once every 2 weeks. Now I get something from the VA telling me that my first appointment to talk to somebody is in May. Now this is March. It doesn't matter if it's almost April or not. This is March. You know, the reason why we're having so many suicides is, number one, is because the VA isn't doing their part in seeing soldiers for their PTSD issues. They like to say they are, but they're not. And the only way that you can be seen is if you go to the emergency room or the ER to see that on-call doctor. Now, tell me if a soldier, because I know me myself, when I have that PTSD, that fight mode, that heart pumping, that feeling, I don't want to go to an emergency room and wait an hour or wait 45 minutes. I want to get it done as soon as possible. So I'm lucky. I got a wife, so she can hear all my griping and complaining.
I'm glad you have a wife too, Joel, because that cuddling was getting annoying.
Well, I'm just saying that's one of the reasons why we're having so many suicides. That's just the tip of the iceberg. So I'm pretty upset with the VA about that. So I know exactly what you're talking about, and the text line that they have for the veterans. That's all good, but when I cry, I can't text. I don't know about you. When I'm having that episode or whatever, I misspell, can't hardly text. So the VA really needs to do something. And I know that there are programs out there beyond the VA. And I mean, that's one of our jobs is we introduce those programs for soldiers to use because of this issue. But yeah, the VA, and I'm not even talking politics, the VA, they need to do something. They need to do something now.
All right,
There,
so
I said my piece.
Yep, you need to knock off your piece. It's a little bit too much now, buddy. But that's what I'm here for. I'm here to be the anchor since I was Navy. So what branch were you in, Danny?
I was in the United States Army.
Oh, so you were like Joel. Oh.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with Army.
Oh no, nothing wrong with Army at all.
What branch were you in?
I was Navy. I was a squid.
Oh, okay.
I didn't have a backpack.
At least y'all have the football game to depend on. That's good.
Yeah, I know, for at least for the last 14 years.
Now that was funny.
Well, we can only cover you guys from afar by so much. So go ahead and tell us. Let me see here. Where's my question list at?
I can go on with the next question if you want me to.
Yeah, go ahead, Joel.
All right, so let's see here. The best question to ask that you haven't asked already.
Well, that he hasn't answered already. He went into some good detail back then.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, that's weird. I had it like open. Yeah, Well, so what inspired you? What inspires you to create this nonprofit, Danny? Because we know I know how much of a pain in the neck creating a nonprofit is and dealing with the nonprofit is. What inspired you?
Well, honestly, I was, as crazy as it is to say, the nonprofit really got started on my bachelor party. Robin Williams had committed suicide the day before I was slated to go for my bachelor party. And then at that same time, Specialist Adam Richardson had committed suicide. And my news feed had really blown up with people talking about, why we care about an actor that had committed suicide, but we don't care about the 22 a day that commit suicide. And I tried to talk to a bunch of people. It's not that people don't care; it's that people don't know. People felt like Robin Williams was their uncle. Who hadn't grown up on Jumanji, Hook, Mrs. Doubtfire. I mean, this goes all the way. He's been around since Mindy and Mort. So this dude has really went across generations. And Robin Williams was a huge supporter of the military. I mean, he's done so many UFO shows, it's not even funny. And we travel across seas to see our guys. So for me, in that moment, that instant, like, listen, it's definitely not the place and time. Anytime anybody commits suicide, it's a sad thing. It doesn't matter whether they're military or not military. But I just kind of felt like, hey, you know what? Instead of talking about it, I should act. Probably very similar to how you guys probably got the show up and started. You probably, sitting around, friends, talking, having conversations, said, you know what? We can bring our talents to bear to do something in the veteran community, to get those resources and things that are out there. And, we're not the type of people to sit around. We're agents of change, and so we're going to go forth and do it. And the truth of the matter is, working with it, and it's a ton of work. It's like between running a business and a nonprofit, all of that. I mean, I don't really know what a day off is, but by the same token, it does a lot to help me deal with my own issues by talking to other people, sharing my situation and story with them, and then hopefully in some small way helping them through their own.
Now, I saw something on your guys' webpage that was kind of interesting. On your webpage, you call it PTS, and you have the D in parentheses. Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, my good buddy I've ended up making quite a few friends through this process over the past year. The guys over at 22 Kill and Project 22, and they put me in touch with a gentleman named Keyshawn Coffey, who is out of the Brain Institute in Houston, Texas. And one of the things the Brain Institute has been able to do is they've been able to scientifically prove that you can heal TBI. And they're a huge resource. Marcus Luttrell's brother is out of there. And one of the things that they talk about is that it's not a disorder. It is what your brain is expected to do in response to a trauma. If your brain didn't react to the trauma, then you would actually have a disorder. And so what they want to get away from is the notion of telling veterans that, hey, listen, you have this disorder, because nobody wants to have a disorder, right? Nobody wants to come across as broken or what have you. So the hope and the feel is that if we can get people to understand that, listen, you're not broke, you didn't do anything, you're not the one lone vet that can't get their shit together, so to speak. This happens to a pretty large number. I mean, if you go back to the Iliad, Achilles demonstrates textbook signs of PTS. So if we can get vets to understand that it's not a sign of weakness to reach out for help and get the treatment that's out there, that it's actually a sign of strength to say, hey, listen, I do need a hand to get through this. And hopefully we can make a dent in the 22.
Yeah, we can only hope for that one. We need that to happen. Because I know I've already lost a few friends because of it. And Joel, I don't know how many you've lost because of it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm like Forrest Gump. That's all I can say about that. Is yeah. Mr. Danny, you might have said it, and I might have not caught it, but to help these vets, do you have any events coming up that either will help get some money and help these vets, or any events coming up that these vets can attend that they might be able to get some mentorship from you and your staff?
Yeah, we have a really, really big event. Our first signature event's coming up called Rally in the Valley. And this is we are hosting it. The proceeds from this event, 100% of them will go to 3 different nonprofits. They will go to Platoon22, Project 22, and 22 Kill. And we have guys jumping on their motorcycles in California, coming across with one of the bands. It's going to be a day of live music. It's a car show, motorcycle show, Jeep show. Then we're also going to have on hand vendors from various organizations, veteran nonprofits, veteran resource opportunities. The local VA will be on hand to help get people enrolled should they choose to, and make them aware of the resources that they have out there. And the goal really is to be able to have it. It's a family-friendly event. Is to be able to put on a place where the family can come, civilians can come, learn more about what's going on with our veterans in regards to the suicides, but still have fun and raise a decent amount of money to go to these nonprofits to help compete against it.
Awesome. Well, Danny, Mr. Danny, we really appreciate you coming on. We are sorry that there was a miscommunication and the phone number that we called. That's on us.
No,
and
we dialed a 4, so that's on our end.
And with that in mind, and with that saying, I'll talk to our producer Brandy and see if we can make an exception and get you on again in the near future, maybe right before your event or right after your event, so that we can cover some time. Because this cause that you have created is important, and I think more vets need to know about it, and I think more non-vets need to know about it so that they might be able to, give to help. Because I mean, it's sad to say, but it's like that bumper sticker. If you want to see the price of freedom, go to your nearest VA hospital. And I think that people are starting to see that. They're starting to take a stand. They know that there are some nonprofits out there that are taking advantage of good people's money. And that's the reason why we have this show, is to bring good people like you on that are giving out more donations to veterans than they're taking in. So with that being said, we appreciate you being on the show, and we will have you on again in the near future. I really appreciate it, Mr. Danny.
All right, thank you, brothers. Y'all have a great one yourself.
You too. Bye. All right, well, everybody, if you missed that was Danny. Man, I'm like looking at the email, and I got like beer goggles on today or something.
That was Danny Farrar.
Yeah, okay. I'm telling you, dude, I got beer goggles on. For some reason, I can't read nothing. So yeah, that was Mr. Danny. And, I'm not even going to try the last name, dude. I'll just butcher it like I butcher everything else. So, with that being said,
this is MBR, saluting those who have made the ultimate sacrifice for their country.
Rock and roll!
We'll ride if you wanna rock and roll. It's only rock and roll, but I like it. Rocking the troops.